Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Hello viewers, welcome to Sharing the Scoop. Today with us we have Raj Malkan, who has finished his MBA from Welingkar Institute in Mumbai last year, that is 2020. So let's hear from him. Hi Raj, how are you doing?
Hello, Krishna. How are you? Hello to everyone in the viewing section.
I'm also doing good. Thank you for being here. So can you just tell us a little bit about you and your course in Welingkar Institute that you did?
Sure. So my name is Raj Malkan. I completed my graduation in Bachelors in Accounting and Finance in 2017 with majors in finance. Thereafter, I took up 10 months of employment at a nearby CA firm. I did that because I wanted to take some time off to study as well, because just as other friends of mine, I never joined coaching classes as such. So I tutored myself. So I needed time for that. Thereafter, 10 months later in 2018, I joined Welingkar Institute, full-time course, PGDM in e-business. That's separate from core. And it was two-time course, specialization finance. Within that, there's a stream. So there are multiple streams. One of them was digital transformation. I chose that up. And my course happened to end 10 days just before the nationwide lockdown in 2020. So I was last batch to be the offline campus kind of mode. I enjoyed 2 years of my campus life at Welingkar as well as 3 years at graduation. Had great fun.
Got saved by just a month.
Not even a month, 10 days to be precise.
Wow.
March 13, my course ended, and March 24th was the nationwide lockdown. So,
Borderline, literally.
borderline, yes.
Okay, so if I'm not wrong, you have been in the accounts background in your UG, right?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
what exactly did you do?
So accounts, as in everything within accounts, nothing that could be covered under CA as such, like auditing or final chartancy. Other than that, everything as in tax. So I'll talk about the 10 months I spent at a CA firm. I did not want to take up a high profile role because it would eat up on most of my time. So I took up a job at a CA firm. Now, not being a CA and being in a CA firm is a very tricky situation because you don't have much left to do. So I took up income tax over there. And within that, I was taking up invoicing, as in the company invoicing that they file for expenses. So that was something that was covered in my graduation. And I knew that when I pursue MBA in finance, this is not something that I'll get to cover in future, because taxing and auditing is completely different from finance and investment. So I said, let me just explore this side of accounting and finance. And this is something that you don't get to explore much in a big company, because there are already very well versed, experienced people who do this. So this was one thing that I got to learn in 2016, 2017 in my graduation. And in the following 4, 5 months, I got to practice this in actual. So this is with regards to more of audit, checking invoices, keeping up a record, something that is happening before tally, pre-tally, before it actually gets into the book. So it's called validation and expense validation, as they call it. So this is what I covered, and alongside I was also working in an event management firm where I was hosting and helping them host award functions and event nights and parties as well. So that was two contrasting experience. But since I don't have an actual letter for the hiring, and I did not want to put it on a resume, because that doesn't look nice on a MBA resume, because people think that all you did is party. So I kept that aside, and it's just for the viewers to share that it's not just all studying and academics. I also had some fun, and it's also advised that you do have some fun, but you don't put it on the resume, so that you have a life other than academics and MBA as well.
Wow, you really have a lot of work experience over there, I see. So how do you think your journey has been? Like, did you face any challenges when you shifted from being into, from an accounts firm to doing MBA in e-business? Do you think you faced any challenges?
Challenges multiple. So this was one question that was asked by my family, as well as this was the first question in the MBA interview, that if you have a strong inclination towards CA and anything and everything to do with CA, why didn't you not pursue CA? So I already had this clear that I never wanted to do CA, just as in during MBA I would never wanted to do marketing or HR. So I said, nahi, CA nahi karna hai. I'll not do it at any form. So they were asking questions. What next? What will you do next? CFA? Would you do MBA? Would you do CS? And just around 2016, when I was in the last year, I realized that doing MBA as a fresher and doing MBA as 1 year experience does a lot of difference, not just package wise, but the roles that you get also. So I said, let me get a year's gap. It's okay if I get employed, great. Not, then I'll take an education gap. Not a problem with that. And in that, I did a lot of case studies as such. So just after I graduated, I was into GST valuation, as in what goes into evaluating or what goes into deciding which particular commodity will be taxed at what particular rate. A couple of months just before my graduation ended, I was also into demonetization. So I was analyzing all of it. So people are like, this is all to do with CA, and then you end up in MBA. So this is something that does not add up. And within my mind, I was very clear. So to actually explain and sell my story to people was the real challenge, rather than actually preparing for MBA and getting into the interview. Because at an interview, also, when you go and sell your story, people have to buy that story. And most
Mhm.
people are like, you come from a good background and then you just abandon it and you take an MBA, and then you're very sure that you don't want to do it. So that doesn't add up. So more than finance at that point in time in the interview, marketing skills that came handy, that I had to actually sell myself as a person and my story, because people were
Okay.
not buying it. People would just take it as, I wanted to do CA, but I would be a failure. So I had to actually tell them, no, that's not the case. I wanted to do MBA. I did MBA by will. It's not that I'm evading or trying to run away from the hard work that goes into that process. And yes,
Okay.
being a single child, a lot comes on me, because I am the mischievous one. If there are multiple children in the house, it's always a notion that the younger one is mischievous, the elder one is serious. So I was both in that regard. So my parents are like, he's a mischievous brat, he's not going to do anything. And then suddenly I end up in MBA. So they think I did some fraud. I hooked up onto something that I shouldn't have done. And for multiple days until the fees were being paid, they did not believe this. So it it was hard time explaining the people rather than actually getting it done. So up till a certain point, I was explaining, let me do MBA. It's great. It gives you a good leverage and helps you network and socialize, expand your network. But then people are like, no, we don't buy the story. So that explaining to the people took up a real good time.
Okay. I get that. But you set a perfect example of when you want something, you get it done. So I see you were really inclined towards MBA and you got it done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also because the domain that I come from is more technology savvy. Now, if you look, marketing, HR, everything involves technology. So you can't evade it. It's just that during 2016, 2017, when I was completing my graduation, I realized that if you get into it and if you learn and understand technology, it gives you an upper hand. So if you're trying to avoid it, you just kind of lag behind. You just kind of just catch up on things while people are already way ahead of you. So I said, let me just learn the back end first, because I come from a commerce background, nothing to do with coding, programming as such. So I said, let me just learn that. Accordingly, as in how I learn, I'll embrace technology in a way that it helps me and other people around have a better career.
Okay. So I also remember you mentioning that you tutored yourself. Would you like
Hmm.
to say how did you like what kind of challenges did you face when it comes to your MBA entrance exams that you prepared for? Because it's always very hyped and people are really
Hmm.
scared to give entrance exams. So how did you approach that?
Okay, so the first step is you have to ask yourself which entrance exam and which institute you want to go in. Because there are many people who are just giving snaps and zaps, because even when they don't wanted to get into symbiosis or Xavier. It's just that CMAT or CAT के बीच में snap आता है, let's just give that as well. So that's a wrong approach, because you are building up expectations, and then when you don't get good score in those exams, it actually results in having a bad morale for the exam that you wanted to have. So when in 2018 I was appeared for CAT, because I wanted to check my skills and my timekeeping skills rather, because CAT is more time based than knowledge based. You have to, it tests on how you can manage time in that 2.5 2 hours exam. Whereas CET is more about how quickly you get things done. So both were different exams, and I gave CAT. Not I told my parents, do not expect me to get into IIMs. That's also clear expectation. I set them up because I very much knew that if I would end up in an IIM, I would be a misfit. Because then you would find only one guy in the campus having fun, and that would be me. So I said, no, CAT is just something that I'm giving to test myself, but my main focus was CET. With regards to self tutoring, the job that I got was so friendly that I used to get 4 hours in the night and couple of hours in the morning to study. So that was enough time for me. And it's just that if you take up a coaching class, they put you on weekend batches. So that actually scales up your schedule. So Monday to Friday not possible. Saturday, Sunday I wanted some time off. So I said, let me just tutor myself. And the best thing about that was I took up guidance from multiple coaching classes. So I would take books from one, I would give test series for another one. So it would guide me to both of them as to what is being actually asked and what is to be provided. And that's where you realize more of it, that how the market and how the exam functions.
Okay. And what would you say, which would be your stronger subject and weaker subject, and how did you handle both?
So my strength and my weakness goes around digits. I love a lot of digits. Maths is something I hate, rather ironically. So I hate maths. That's my weakness. So when it comes to statistics, hypothesis is not something my forte. But finance, analysis, overall analysis, Tableau, using software Tableau, Power BI is something I am very fond of. So I had to motivate and navigate myself in a way that I am surrounded by digits, but I'm not into core maths, because the moment you add maths to any subject, I get very bored. I cannot handle it. So I said, let me just stick to the subjects that are digit friendly, something that I can handle. So investment analysis was something that I really liked, because every time you get a different answer, different people, different set of expectation, different assets involved. So that was something I really liked. Something that I really hated was all the things that included a lot of theory. So HR was something I really hated, because all the theories that we learned, I had a word with a lot of HRs, and they said most of it is obsolete. So we are still learning things that are no longer relevant in the actual world. So if you go and ask a HR who actually follows all the theories, X and Y theories, no one actually does it. So that was something that was just a pass on, that let us just get away with it. Let me just skip to the good part. And the good part came in 2019 second year. But it was too much to handle, because then when you choose a specialization, you like this, you like that, and then suddenly you are at a spoiled of choice as
So
such.
since you dislike math, you might have had
Hmm.
trouble in your entrance exams with quant as well.
Quant, as in all the geometrical and in circle, out circle kind of diagrammatically, I was not good, not at all good. X axis, Y axis is something I never understood. Slope, getting a median, these all are things beyond my purview. So when I appeared for both CAT and CET, I navigated in a way that math stays at the end, but
Okay.
in the same way that and at any point in time, if there are any figures involved, I would do it at very beginning. So that would something that would be cleared. I know that I covered up, so even if I happen to miss out on the last part, it's okay. And that is something that I also tell my fellow colleagues and my fellow friends about it, that if you are not good at anything, people take it upon their ego that I'm not good at anything, let me just spend time first on that, and then in the middle of the exam you realize that you spent half of the time, you don't even know half of the things. uh, Makes you skeptical about your own skills and your abilities, and then you go to the good part and you screw that up as well. So that is when I realized that let me just begin with what I'm good at. In CET and CAT both, in CAT you can skip the questions you don't like. So I said, if I don't know the answer, I'll skip it rather than getting a negative mark on it. And in CET, I kept it for the last part. So it was more of how quickly you get it done than the method. So if I could get an answer, I would mark it, or else I would skip it or mark anything by fluke. So this was more of trial and error. But if you keep that 50 questions of CET in maths apart, 150 were great. Not a problem as such. So
Okay.
it does translate into a good overall experience. Now, if you only judge me on maths, I don't fit into the CAT criteria. I wouldn't get into the MBA scale.
Okay.
And also that the course that I took was so much technology and science oriented that my batch of 58 had 37 engineers or science background. So they were so good with null hypothesis, all the kind of diagrams. And here I am with a commerce modest background, not understanding what they're talking about. And I had to choose subjects in my MBA in a way that I don't come across that or those people, because you would actually not do very well in that subject. So you have to take reality,
So
and you have to choose
basically,
what you
play
like.
according to your strengths.
Play according to your strengths and don't take it up to your ego, because many a time it
Yeah.
happens that you see certain people doing it, you think that you are no bad or no less than them, you take it up, and then you realize that, oh, actually this is not what I wanted to do. And 2 years of MBA or 3 years of undergrad is something where you get to experiment. This is not something like a job where you have to change a job to understand whether it's something you like or not. So you experiment, especially in MBA, you experiment, you talk to a lot of people as to what you want to do. There are certain times you believe that you are good in a particular skill, but when you go to talk to another person, they realize that no, you're not good at this skill. You're just boasting that you are good at it. You have to actually talk, you have to actually tell them what they are good at. And though the other person is very quick to realize that you might be very good at reasoning, but you're not very good at reasoning. You can't convince me. And that is when you realize, oh, let me just go to some other part. And if that's the case, if you do get to talk to a lot of people, then you realize that what is your strength and what is not. So MBA is
Okay.
somewhere you have to open up, you have to talk to a lot of people. And the fortune of being in Wellinger was that there were 700 other people. So my batch strength overall was somewhere around 680 people, and my class itself had 58. So I was an outgoing extrovert person. I used to go and talk to anyone. So I had friends from the geology department, pharmacy, and I used to go to talk to them, and they would understand कि हाँ इसको ये आता है, इसको ये नहीं आता है. So they were very upfront, and they would tell me. So that also helps a lot. So being an introvert in MBA is rather not something I would advise. You have to open up. You have to talk a lot, just as
Okay.
I'm doing right now.
Okay. So also, when you got a call from Welingkar College, how would you say your like how what were the processes and how did your process go? How was your interview? Or I guess there was GD as well.
Yeah, so there was typical interview, and at Wellinger, when I went through the process, the GD was not an eliminator. I believe it's still not an eliminator. So whether you have a great GD or a okay GD, you still get a chance with PI. So first they let us know over email and also through the portal whether you are selected or shortlisted or not. Then you go, and it's a Saturday, Sunday, either one day you get. On the same day, within a couple of hours, they finish both GD as well as PI. For my GD,
So
I
just
had
these
around
two.
9 people. Uh,
Sorry. So just GD and PI.
GD and PI, that would constitute around 65% or 35%, and the other one was for your education and your work ex. It's just
Okay.
that pre-GDPI is 65 and GDPI is 35, or pre-GDPI is 35 and GDPI add to 65. So even if you don't have a very good academic, or if you have a gap year, if you do very good in GDPI, you still stand a chance.
Okay. And what were you saying about the whole GD? There were around 9 people.
So 9 people in the GD group, and the conversation was very good. The topic was social media, and whether Gen Z can actually go ahead and pursue social media as a full-time career.
I
So the
like how you
debate,
remember something that was asked to you 2 years back.
technically almost quarter to 4 years. That's 2018.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah. And I
Nice.
and it's also because it was a great debate, and it was not a discussion as such. It was a heated debate, and all 9 of us contributed. It became so difficult for the panelists to judge that they actually had to give us another topic. And the other topic was something that no one had a clue on. It was to do with an pandemic or epidemic breakup in Africa. So if you were to judge only on the first topic, all 9 of us would have gotten selected or rejected at once. So the second topic was the icebreaker. That was the make or break. With regards to PI, whenever we go from GD to PI, there are certain markers that are mentioned on our profile on a sheet that they pass, and according to that, the PI happens. So I on my GD list, there was one point I got to know somehow, which said that I was very outspoken. So when I speak, I don't let others speak. So this was something that was brought across in my PI, that are you really very confident, or are you just showing that you're confident but deep down you are melting in nervousness? So I told them that no, that's not the case. This was something that I really liked. The topic was really great, and the second half of the topic was something that had no clue about. So it was actually flip sides of me, and they said, okay, no problem, we'll grill you. And accordingly, there were primary 7 questions in PI. I remember, happened to remember all of them, and subsequently there were other questions also as to what I was saying. So just as we discussed, the first question was why not CA or why not CFA. So I told them the story. More than the content, I was selling my story, and they really liked it. And what was mentioned on the GD, just as I was outspoken, overtly confident, so that was displayed over there. Subsequently, there were other questions. One other question was, suppose we remove finance from specialization, would you take up marketing or HR? And I said operations. And they are like, do you not need time to think? I was like, no, because if I wanted to pursue marketing, I could have done it earlier in my graduation also. That was a section. I did not do that. HR is not something I'm very inclined towards as a full-time 40 or 50-year career. So if not finance, I would do operations. And they said, what in operations? I said, fintech, something to do with finance. I'll work in a call center in a fintech company. That's okay with me. I'll work the ladder upwards, but I'll stay connected to finance industry or something to do with investment or trading. And thereafter, they asked me other questions, just as you asked, which is your favorite subject. So I let them know that my favorite subject is so and so, and they quickly realized, very experienced people to say, they quickly realized that I don't happen to like maths. So they grilled me upon that. Why not maths? Is it because maths that you skipped CA? Is it because of maths that you're skipping CFA? So I
Okay.
let them know that if I really hated maths, I wouldn't do MBA, because maths is a core part of MBA, and in the first year you can't even skip maths. So I let them know. So that was one hard stone to crack.
So they just
Uh,
cornered you. They just cornered you a
they
lot.
cornered you, and they very much realize that you are hiding something. You don't want them to know something, and when they catch up on you, they grill up on you. So what could have been a trivial 10-12 minute interview, just because of this section, went to 16-18 minutes. So they
Wow.
knew
Okay.
that if I just budge down, or if I give in, my interview is over, my chances are zero. So
Okay.
they were trying to open me up, that speak up, be a little vulnerable, speak up, let us know your strength. Now, I at the very last, I did not open up why maths was my weakness. So so they navigated to other areas, as to what my family background is it because I'm a mischievous child in the growing, that my parents decided to not give me a sibling? So it was completely a debatable topic in this sense, because this could spark upon a ego clash, that how can you say that in a way? But they just wanted to check whether I'm getting pressurized, whether it's something that
Good.
I'm taking up personally, or just I'm taking up lightly, and I let them know. So I answered that in 1996 only my parents knew that one is enough, and they knew that one would be capable of getting into MBA and appear for the interview. So they just had a laugh, nervous laugh. I knew that would break my chances or make my chances, but I was
You
confident enough to
stuck by
give
it.
that answer.
Got it.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
not something that they expected from me. They expected a very modest answer, that I was to have a sibling, couldn't have. But I gave them a very bold something that I also thought that could kill my chances, but it actually helped.
Worth
So
it. Okay.
yeah,
Wow, that was
completely worth it.
that was really very insightful. So just to quickly wrap it up, would you like to give any tips to the MBA aspirants, how to approach, or any tips that would help them?
Sure. So there are a lot of tips if you want to cover, but basic tips would be, you have to first decide why you're doing MBA. This is a very common question. You don't, just as I did not wanted to do MBA because I'm not doing CA. That is a completely different choice, two different set of choices. But other people would do MBA just to evade getting employed quickly after college, or to skip family business. Uh, Funny to say, and it's very debatable that many people were doing MBA in my college and my friend list to avoid marriages, to getting married soon. So this was something that I believed was not doing justice to the course, because in college they were just loafing around, just making fun. So if you were there to actually make use of MBA, those people actually killed that experience. So you have to understand that MBA is a overall experience. You only if you are up for it, you should go for it, because it invests a lot of time, a lot of money. And once you are an MBA, your expectation that people have from you are skyrocketing, because you no longer are just among what people have done. It's like in today's world, graduation is something that everyone does. It's not a big deal, but you took an extra step to do an MBA, and then you took up an extra step to go through the process of getting into a good college. So you're not just someone from the ordinary background, not someone who's going to go hunky dory. You actually took up that one extra step. So that is one thing. Second thing is, you have to decide upon the college. A lot of times it so happens that people say that I'll get into a very pathetic college. I'm not good. I'm no good for anything, and they end up in the IIMs. And then you realize that they were actually very good, but they never brought it up front, or they were
The
kind enough to not boast
confidence.
about it. Yes,
Hmm.
so deep within they had their capabilities, but outside they did not wanted to show that they are someone who's worth that kind of experience, or that kind of process. So you have to narrow down. In India, the problem is there are so many colleges, and it's so geographically wide, that a person in Mumbai can get admission in Xavier's Jamshedpur. Someone from Kerala can get admission in IIM Jammu. So you have to decide upon your colleges and then tackle the corresponding entrance fees. Because now, if you look, the entrance exam fees are also hefty. If you give SNAP, SAT, NMIMS, and MAT, they are hefty fees. So it's not something that you might think, कि, हाँ ठीक है दे दिया pass हो गए तो we'll get into NMIMS or symbiosis. You have to decide. You have to work according to it, and then you have to give the exam.
You have
So
to
only
be
if you are
for
going into
sure.
that, you go into that section, because then it builds up an anticipation within yourself as well, that whether you want to get in, whether you'll get in or not. Suddenly, someone who's targeting for Maharashtra colleges get into Symbiosis, Bangalore, and they're like whether I want to go in or not. So it adds to a lot of anxiety, and then suddenly you make a bad decision, and that ruins it all. So you have to decide upfront where you want to go, and accordingly thereafter you plan where you actually land up. So what happens is, if you are sure on where you want to go, you get multiple opportunities, and then you get to choose. If you're not sure, you get multiple opportunities and you make the bad choice. So that is something that you have to be prepared upfront, where you want to go, where you want to land up. I
Wow,
had two
thank you
colleges.
so much for that, Raj. That was really
You're
very
welcome.
insightful. It was really very
Sure,
insightful.
it's
And
a pleasure. As
yeah, and we wish you all the best as well. Good luck, and good
Thank
luck to
you.
all the viewers appearing this year.